government, all this stuff, they set up this this bubble, and they're not loaning money, and there's more and more monopolies. But you know, the key to it is money in politics, and I happen to be the only one who is financing myself on this thing. But you've got a massive stream of money that is going to re-elect people that point them in the direction that they want them to go. So until you get money out of politics, and I've thought about this a while, I think the best thing to do is to put a limit on what you can spend and get the candidate to pay for it. I know people are going to say, oh no, we need our money in our politics. But you are not going to have a United States as long as it is where they're spending the money that they are to get their candidates in there. They can say what you want, but this thing that these bailouts and things were to consolidate this economy, and that's the reason it happened. And it's not changing because of money in politics.
I agree with both of my friends here tonight, which is why I think term limits are so important. The intersection of money, politics, lobbying, corporate interests, all of these things have made it so once you are elected and you're an incumbent, you're almost fireproof. Do you know the re-election rate of somebody once they get to Washington? It's 95%. But wait a second, Congress has like an 8% approval rating. How come everybody keeps getting re-elected when we all think they're bums? Because they're fireproof. Because they are too big to fail. Courtesy of your tax dollars. Because when you get a piece of mail that tells you how great your congressman is, when you see him at the check presentation ceremony, and the list goes on. And that doesn't even include all the private corporate money and PACs and all these other things. So that's one thing. You know, I'm a parent with some small children, and I'm very familiar with this idea of moral hazard. I'm very familiar with the idea of wanting to be a compassionate parent, and yet knowing that if I give my children everything they need or want when they want it, that I could actually be harming them. I do not support bailouts. I do not support bailouts for private industry. We've entered into the moral hazard of allowing businesses to think that you, the taxpayer, are the ultimate parachute. And that's wrong.
Thanks. Mr.
I do. You know, one of the reasons why politics is the way it is we don't allow the free market to work in politics. You know, if we were to reform our campaign finance laws so that folks could give what they wanted to give and have it all fully disclosed, anybody that wanted to run for Congress would be able to raise the money to compete with any incumbent, no matter how popular they might be, and their message would be able to compete. The way it is now, only those with name IDs or strong business ties or who have been in the community for a long time and developed a good name or have been in office for a while, they're the only ones that can throw the net far and wide and get the contributions that you need in order to run. That's where there's an unfair advantage. Everything that's wrong in this country today is where you have government intervention preventing the free enterprise system from working, whether it's politics, or whether it's business or any other matter.
We're going to take another question from the audience, and for this one, we're going to start with Mr. Crow, then go to Mr. Montano, then to Mr. Rausser, and then back to Mr. Crow for this question from the audience.
Right here.
I'm going to take one from this side, this time. Yes, sir. Right here in the picture.
My question is, whenever we get candidates that are ready to go to Congress, or ready to assume this role in politics, their morals and values are the highest standard. And they promise you everything. And when they get there, it seems like that's not the case. Term limits, the elites in Congress, the 530-something people in there plus staff or whatever, they're not subject to Obamacare. They're not subject to the same rules that they're telling us, the public, that we're being subject to. How are we going to figure that out? The term limits was different, but nobody wants to push it.
Well, there are term limits, and then there are term limits. There's a term limit out there that somebody's signed that if you do it, you're pretty well guaranteed to stay in office forever. I have said that if I'm elected, I'm out of there in 8 years. Ilario, have you told us how long you will leave? When are you going to leave? Have you said?
I have signed 2 plans. May I
Yeah.
respond to this?
Yeah,
May I be part of this
I
dialogue?
don't mind.
I've done 2 things, Mr. Crow. The first thing that I did, and I actually did it last year, and I've done it again this cycle, is with a group called the Alliance for Bonded Term Limits. I did a pledge where I bonded the value of my home, that if I break my word and run for more than 6 terms, I lose the value of my home. I chose that number because that was the number of terms that Mike McIntyre swore that he would run for. He's now seeking his 9th. What I have also done, in recognition that one person signing term limits is not enough, and that we need to implement it across the board, is I've joined with Senator Jim DeMint and U.S. term limits, which is the pledge that you've signed as well, which is that I would seek an amendment to the Constitution that every House member would be able to serve no more than 3 terms and 2 terms in the Senate. But it will take a little time to get that implemented. We might not get it the first time, we might not even get it the second or the third, but I believe in it. I believe in Senator Jim DeMint.
That's the one I call the Strom Thurmond term limit, because the idea that this thing will ever pass, I think, is a pipe dream. But I am excited that you said that you're out of here in 12 years, boom. And that's what I think, that when somebody tells you something, they need to tell you exactly how long you're going to be there. But this thing about money in politics, I mean, you're not gonna get anything changed until you get it out of it. You said the free enterprise system and all that, but the free enterprise system is going to be this military complex and that, and they're going to love that, and they're going to do it. That's why I think that there needs to be a limit on how much money that you spend, and I think that it should come from your own back pocket, and I think that you're going to start getting some changes here if you set a modest amount that's paid by the candidates and forget this free enterprise system for Boeing.
Mr. McKenzie, since you had a chance to address the question, we're going to let Mr. Rouser.
I actually just addressed the accusation from my opponent. I'd actually like the opportunity to speak to the issue, which was how do you address the corruption in government, which is something that I'd like the opportunity to speak to, and since I was just responding to Mr. Crow. By the way, I happen to believe that the free enterprise system is the lifeblood of this country and is worth protecting. In fact, frankly, our founders thought so too, which is kind of neat. When you read the founding documents and you develop a real understanding of the philosophies that go back to Locke, that go all the way back to all of the folks that were involved, not just in the moment of the signing of our Declaration of Independence or even the Constitution, but earlier than that. What are the real origins? Going all the way back to Scripture, the idea that we have free will in this relationship. That's an important one. I think that term limits are an important starting point because we have seen the road to hell is paved with good intention, and yet we have a cesspool, and we know what it is. It's called Washington, and the longer people stay there, the more corrupted and contaminated they get. I have a card here. It's out at the front. I hope you will take one because I believe in a number of things to drain the swamp. Get rid of this idea of a career politician. Get rid of pensions for members of Congress. Get rid of gold-plated health care for members of Congress. And if we really believe we have to cut the budget, then start with the leadership and take a 25% pay cut of every member of Congress. And now we're starting to get things done.